I ain't ever gonna stop watching Big Unc and the Nephew. Bye.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you too, my man.
Hold up.
Hang tight, everybody. We got some technical issues we're going to work through right now.
I'm doing good. It's really good to see you guys. It's been like too long.
No, it definitely has, my man. I'm so excited to have you on and shoot the shit with you tonight, catch up, and see how things have been.
Yes. Yes.
Why don't you tell these guys a little bit about you? This is DeluxBBQ. He's out of Southern California. He is an avid barbecue enthusiast. He is a beekeeper. He is an incredible human being. They say people will take the shirt off their own back and give it to you. Deluxe is the kind of guy to not only give you the shirt off his back, but put you up in a hotel for the night and make sure you got a ride home in the morning. He is a fantastic individual. I'm blessed and honored to call you a friend and a brother, and I'm excited to have you on, my man.
Dude, thank you. That was an awesome intro, dude. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, dude, I don't know, man. It's every time I jump on and see your guys' live every Friday night, man, I'm just like a fan of everybody that you have on. It doesn't matter who. It's just like such a cool show you guys are doing. And man, just to get to talk to you two at the same time is awesome. So, dude, I appreciate that. And yeah, so if you don't know who I am DeluxBBQ. I'm out of SoCal. We got a few SoCal barbecue guys in our community down here. Not as much as probably the NorCal guys. You guys have a lot up there, and you know it's easier for you guys to get together. But we got a couple down here, and we kind of do a few smaller things. But we do like to get together and have a good bash every once in a while.
Well, that's the thing about Southern California, man. It's people that aren't in the state may assume that if you're down in Southern California, you got to be remotely close. That's not always necessarily the case. And then you take the traffic that you guys get down there. You might be 30 miles from somebody, but it could take you an hour and a half just to get there.
Dude, we are literally 20 minutes away from Disneyland. And we went up there probably like 2 weeks ago. It took us an hour and a half.
We definitely do get around and hang out quite a bit. We try to do a lot of stuff together here, but it's just because it's a lot easier. Can you tell us a little bit about the name Deluxe? Where did that name come from? I've always been curious.
Wow, this is going way back. Okay, back in I would say the mid to late 90s. I've been at my current job for a really long time, almost 30 years. And like the end of the day on our computers, we would all have this game. I think it was called Unreal. And it was like a first person shooter. And everybody had their call signs of who they were. And we were at 5:00, dude, work would shut down and we would just all start gaming for like an hour right there with everybody in the office. It was awesome. And so everybody had their names. And then at that time, there was a Coke commercial back in the day. You guys are probably not old enough for this, but there was a Coke commercial with this goofy cat, and his name was Deluxe like 247.
What's up, everybody? I'm Deluxe 247.
And it was right when MTV Cribs was blowing up. And this guy was on a Coke commercial, and he was like a very, very ghetto version of Cribs. And he would do a Coke commercial through his grandma's house. And he thought he was like the coolest guy ever. And so we had all of these Deluxe, jokes and whatnot. Well, somehow out of that, my nickname became Deluxe. And then it was through the gaming, and then it was through the barbecue, and it's been stuck for almost like 30 years.
You love to barbecue. It's kind of a common denominator amongst everyone that we have on the show here. Can you tell me a little bit about what got you into it? Where'd you get your start?
Probably similar to a lot of people back in the like 2009, 10, 11, 12. There was a show, one of the original barbecue shows. It was called
Barbecue Pitmasters.
And you guys hear me?
Can you hear?
Still there?
Fine.
So Barbecue Pitmasters.
Your face over the top of your image, but the sound quality is there. It's just the image is okay. Don't worry about it. We'll fix that in post production.
So Barbecue Pitmasters was going down, and this was like when Myron was the judge of these things, and like Matty Pittman was a contestant, Diva Q was a contestant. all these hitters that are now major players, they were all like, as these contestants, and we were watching, I'm like watching them make these barbecues, and it just getting me hooked and hooked and hooked. And then I saw, I think even somebody else was using a pellet grill, and I'm like, that's electric, and he's turning out this barbecue that just looked insane. And this one guy, it was from San Francisco or something. He was a butcher, and he won that episode with like a pellet grill. And I'm like, oh, dude. So I started looking into it. And somebody turned me on to Traeger, like, oh, dude, Traegers are the best. They're super easy. And then there was like a little kiosk in the mall right down the street. And I went down there for my very first Father's Day. I walked into it, and I'm like, hey, I'm just looking to see what this is about. And the guy, dude, said, dude, we got killer deals right now. And dude, I ended up walking out of there with my first Traeger, and that was Father's Day 2013. At that time, our son was only a couple months old, and I'm like, man, I've been watching these shows. I want to start grilling, and that's what I ended up with. So, and I stuck with it ever since.
And so, were you grilling prior? Were you already used like Weber grill or anything like that?
I was cooking. I grew up with my mom cooking, and so I sort of, learned from her. And I would learn from like some of my friends would cook too, and it didn't matter what they cooked on. I wasn't a huge barbecuer at that time. I mainly cooked inside the kitchen, soups and stews and sandwiches and stuff like that. But then, and then after I started watching these barbecue shows, and I would, taste some barbecue, I'm like, dude, I can make that. And then, you just get hooked.
You remember the first dish that you saw that you were like, oh, I gotta make that, or I gotta try that. That looks amazing.
It was a brisket.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cliche, but you see that brisket at that point, and the thing's jiggling, and the juices are all over the place. And then if you have one, if you don't, obviously before, if people have made their own, if you've gotten one from a really good barbecue place, I mean, you're hooked. But I didn't start with that. I didn't do. Man, my first brisket came out like a brick. Man, it was terrible. It was horrible. But yeah, like even like my first, I have a video that I try to put on YouTube of my very first cook on the Traeger, and it was awful. This was in 2013. I'll have to find that clip someday and post it. I was awful talking to my camera. I think I was talking to a GoPro, and I did a whole chicken because the guy sold me. He says, dude, you do a whole chicken on this and you'll be hooked. I'm like, all right, whole chicken. And that, so I threw a whole chicken on there, dude. 5 hours later, the whole chicken was done. And I'm like, whoa, my gosh. I look back now, I'm like, what the hell was I cooking a small chicken for 5 hours, but I didn't know no better. I was terrible.
If you haven't cooked on a Traeger yet, you've definitely had people tell you got to try one.
Yeah, that's the first thing that all of the when you go into Costco right now and you see all the reps in there, they're gonna grab the first guy and say, dude, do you like chicken? Like, yeah, of course I like chicken. Like, dude, this chicken's gonna blow your mind, and you cook it in 1 hour and it's done in the season better than anything. So you guys, you've seen that they push that chicken because it's an easy cook for anybody to do. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't spatchcock it or beer can cook it, just throw it on there just by itself, and it'll turn out pretty good. So it's a beginner cook for sure.
The thing I love most about my Traegers and Traegers in general is the utmost convenience that you can get out of it. You can put things on and not worry about them while you sleep through the night. You can put things on while you go out and you run your errands, and you know that thing's just gonna kind of hold steady.
I do like heat strokes. Pizza oven is hard to beat, and your Santa Maria. Those things are both almost essential to any good griller who wants to be well-rounded. Those two things are huge too. So I admire the heck out of both of those, and both of you guys for doing.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate.
I I wholeheartedly believe that there's a specific tool for any and every occasion.
They're coming up with the Flat Rock, which is what I got behind me here.
Yeah.
A pizza oven is not far behind, because I think this thing did really well in the marketplace. And so now I think they can see, hey, there is a market for other things than just a smoker.
You look at Traeger and their competitors, competition breeds incredible results. You see Blackstone is getting into the pellet game now. They have a pellet grill / griddle top. I saw recently they announced they have their pellet grill with an air fryer.
Oh yeah, well, heat strokes. What is your pizza oven temp? What are you typically using when you're cooking a typical pizza? Well, like 900 or something?
It can get up to 900. Usually I'm looking at the temp of the stone. And so I'm launching on the stone temp anywhere after 550.
Anywhere after 550.
Yeah, but I want to say usually inside it's probably rocking about 750, 800 typically. And then I'll try to launch the pizza.
Right. Got it. Yeah. So yeah, if that's, like something that Traeger's thinking about, they got to be up in that game of, getting a small, compact, high temperature, little oven just like that. And there's no reason why, they can't do it. And seeing the results of the Flat Rock, I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, Nick, that they do something like that pretty soon.
So I know Uni has a pellet model. I don't know anybody that has it, but they do have it, and it gets sold. Most of I can't say that the gas one kind of goes around it, but it still rolls over the top. So I'm imagining it's rolling over the top. That's something that I think that they really pay attention to. I mean, that's what really sets the difference between like the rock boxes, like the Gosmi or the Uni, like is that rolling flame over the top. And I know, Nick, I've been a stickler with that. I've come to your house and brought my pizza oven, even though you have a pizza oven. And it's just that rolling flame over the top, it cooks it way different than just residual heat, right? And that's how you get the super bubbly cheese and the airy crust. And it's like, yeah, it's done really quick.
My pizza oven is that Blackstone. I love it. It's a great unit. I'm super, super happy that I made the purchase, but it doesn't have the rolling fire that rolls over the top. What it's got instead is a really cool, it's got the stone on the bottom that rotates. There's a stone from the top that radiates heat, and you've got a really strong like heat source off to the side. But that rotating stone constantly keeps the pizza in that like hot zone, that flame zone.
But the spinning part of the Blackstone's pretty badass. I do have to say that it's spinning and keeping the flame and making it to where you don't have to turn it as much. Like all you have to do is make sure it doesn't peel at the bottom. Other than that, you don't have to spin it manually at all, which is cool. And it's fun to watch.
That is cool.
You look at what's going on with a lot of these charcoal grill manufacturers. A lot of these guys are now integrating hoppers, auger motors, and they're regulating temperatures. Whereas back in the day, you got to maintain those coals to keep feeding that fire.
Yeah, everybody's got to, step up their game in some way to be relevant, going forward. If you're not thinking ahead and being relevant with new technology, new ideas, new innovations, then you're going to get left behind.
I remember we were at Traeger Day, and my man DeluxBBQ was opening up the show with a fantastic MP. You hyped up the crowd. You got everyone juiced. You got everyone locked and loaded for Jeremy's entrance and to give his speech. That was just awesome, man. So what did that feel like for you?
That's a funny story. I'll tell you here quick. It's not too long of a story, so I'm going to tell it here in a second. But yeah, I mean, coming up from 2013 to about 2018, I was just cooking on the Traeger in my backyard. I wasn't even on social media. I had no, Instagram, Facebook, or nothing. And then I started a clothing, apparel, and accessory business at that time. And so then I did need to jump on social media and try to promote it like that. As soon as COVID hit, that got squished. So that's no longer. But while I was on there, somebody that I followed from that would always post his cooking and stuff. I think he's still a Traeger guy today. His name is Bert's Barbecue. He lives out of Arizona. His name is Bert. And I would see him post, and I'm like, oh, dude, that looks really good. And I says, dude, you should start a page. And then that's actually how it started. And I started just posting stuff on the Instagram. So then a couple years later, Traeger saw and picked me up. The way they do their ambassadorship now is like different than it used to be. Hey, we want you to be part of the team. We're going to offer you this, this, and this. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You sign a contract. It was like full legit. I'm like, holy shit. So then come Traeger Day. And again, I don't have any problem speaking in front of, people or a big crowd or whatnot. But I was a little nervous on this one because, dude, there were some hitters there at that Traeger Day, right?
Absolutely.
So the last Traeger event that we had was called the Summit, and that was a big one, and that was up there where they introduced the Timberline XL. It was like a 3-day event, big event. And then when Jeremy came out on that one, he didn't have anybody. He just ran up on stage and then did his thing. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So the night before, we went to, that little corner pub or whatever for the actual Traeger Day, right?
Pre-game party,
And,
right?
The pre-game party, right, exactly. And so I was talking with Jeremy. I'm like, hey, dude, for tomorrow, I know you're going to give a speech. I'm like, who do you have to introduce you and bring you out? He says, nobody. I said, well, now you got somebody. I'm going to do it. He says, bro, I'm like, yeah. He says, go ahead. And so he was all for it. And so he says, get with Alicia and Christina or Kristen, and then, they'll go over all the details of when. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we get up into the party, and I talk to them, and they're like, oh, yeah, okay. Come, 20 minutes before, we'll pull you over, get you the mic and all that. I'm like, all right. So I was kind of going over my head, like, what am I going to say? How am I going to hype this crowd? By that time, like literally my voice was already almost shot because you were up there on the rooftop. The music is loud. People are yelling in your ear because it's like a club almost.
Yeah.
So my voice was already like shot, but I'm like, I don't care. We're going to go. So then, they called me up. They said, hey, it's time. Here we go. They hand me the mic. And then I like fucking went black. I don't even remember what happened. That's why I told a couple of the guys, hey, get this on camera because I'm not going to remember anything, It was like, if you ever, you get into a fight or if you have a match, a sparring match or something, like you don't remember really what goes on until you look back and see the tape. Exactly. That's kind of what happened. I just blacked out. And so it ended up working out well. And, it seemed like we got the crowd all pumped up for Jeremy.
There couldn't have been a better person to come out and do that. That was an awesome event. Or two, I think you did a stellar job.
I've got a full video of it, and later on down the line, I'll post it and like tag as many people as I can because not many people that weren't there got to see the whole thing. They, Traeger, when they did their clip, they just showed a clip, but they did a song over it, so you didn't hear anything.
They just saw your thought on that one, right? Had the idea, and they said, you know what, that sounds awesome. Let's run with it.
Jeremy has been such a big influence to that community, and and I just wanted to do him proud and like, not just have him walk up, but have someone introduce him like that.
What's your favorite protein to barbecue and why?
Okay, I'm gonna break it up into two answers. One is the one I cook the most, and then one is my favorite. The one I probably cook the most is gonna be a pork tenderloin, just because. It's lean. It cooks in about 20 minutes. And if you get a pack from Costco, it typically comes with 4 tenderloins. And so you can bust out 2 on one night. You can have leftovers. We got a family of 5 over here. We got me, my wife, our 2 kids, and my wife. We live with my wife's dad. So we can bust that out, and we cook that all the time. It's super lean. My favorite, though, is gotta be either probably short rib.
Oh, yes.
I love doing like a smoked and braised short rib and then shredding it up and putting it on a sandwich with some like melted brie. And then I'll caramelize some carrots and onion on there and then put that as like almost like a sauce sort of on top of that. And it's just ridiculous. It is so dang.
So the synopsis in chat is everyone's talking about your honey, right?
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of different questions on like production. When are we going to see a deluxe honey in stores?
Not probably in stores, but definitely straight through me. So last year, I didn't tell anybody about this, and I'm still sort of coping with what happened. So last year, at the end of the season, basically about a year ago from right now, it's usually at the end of fall, right around October is when I'll harvest a full thing of honey. I had 3 full boxes of deluxe honey and of the strained honey, which means it's liquid in jars, and then 3 boxes of the honeycomb, which is the full chunks of the honeycomb. When I got home, I mean, and it takes a hot minute to harvest this stuff. I mean, it's just me doing it. So the honeycomb, you gotta pull it out, you cut it off of the board, you chunk it up, and you put it into the containers, and then you cut. So that one's kind of a little bit easier. So I did that one first. So I had those 3 boxes. Those are all in containers, packaged up and ready to go. The 3 boxes, which was about 120 pounds of honey, liquid honey, I let sit in the garage while I was, while I'm working, doing stuff. I said, I'll get to it. It's just sitting there, all good. A week later, bugs had gotten into the full boxes, and they went all the way through all the honey and ruined all 120 pounds of honey.
Holy shit.
120 pounds.
Are they
just destroyed?
Is the honey jarred at that time?
No, it's still in the frame.
Oh,
I see. I pull these boxes out. I get the bees off the box, and I take these full boxes of honey. I bring them to the house, and then what you do is once you get a frame, you gotta. It's capped over honeycomb, which means there's these. Comes in a board, and then the top of the honeycomb has a layer of it, because when the bees are done stuffing those little honeycombs with honey, they got to cap it off so it doesn't bleed back out. So you have to, when you're going to harvest it, you got to lightly scrape off all those little outsides to expose all the honey. Once you do that on both sides, you put it in this big steel drum, and then I can fit 4 boards in there, and then you spin this thing, and it spits out all the honey along this big drum, drains down to a spout, and then you jar it from there. So that process really takes some time. I mean, just doing a set of 4 boards, scraping it, putting it in, spinning it, putting it in, it's probably like an hour for 4 boards. There's 10 boards in each box. I had 30 boards in these 3 boxes, and dude, they were all destroyed before I could even get to one. Yeah, like I said, it is. But I I haven't even posted this. We just got back from a trip, and I literally came home like 2 days ago, and we have a little ball of bees sitting in our tomato plant, like just sitting here. And I'm like, it must be my lucky day. So yesterday, I got them into a box, and they're like probably 6 feet away from me right now in this box. But the sun's down and everything, so they're all tucked away. They sleep at night. They don't come out. So tomorrow morning, I'm gonna take that box out to the bee hole and set up a new hive with them.
How far away is the bee hole from you?
It's about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Not bad. Not bad. And it's I used to live out in that area. It's out in Trabuco Canyon and Silverado Canyon. A lot of fires around that area, but they're good where they're at. So I'm gonna go out there tomorrow, check on the deluxe honey. I should have 2 full boxes of deluxe honey sitting waiting for me to harvest. Now, I'm not gonna harvest them until I am absolutely ready to strain and jar them up. So that's why I haven't done it yet, because we just got back from a trip. We go on another trip in another week and a half. So I'm not going to do that until I get back and have time to do it. There will be more deluxe honey here pretty soon. But I do have all of the chunked honeycomb, but I want to sell them together as a unit, because some people, I don't want people to pay 2 different separate sets of shipping. If they want to get 1 jar and 1 set of comb, I'm going to do it all together. But I have all the comb ready to go.
Sounds awesome, man. I remember my first time digging around in the bee hole. I got pretty sticky too.
might be different pee hole, but pretty much the same stickiness.
Now, with all your honey, have you ever made hot honey?
So no, so here at the family, we don't do spicy stuff. As you well know, Nick, whenever I order stuff, I don't order the spicy, rubs and stuff like that. So I don't do, my wife does it, the kids, everything I make for me, the kids will eat. And so they don't do spicy food. So, but when we did Traeger Day 2 years ago at Benny's house, and you were there for that, Nick, I gave a jar over to Rosalie over at Cast Iron.
Remember this?
She made the hot honey. I had a little taste, and boy, it blew my ears off. But she made it, and everybody absolutely loved that, her hot honey coming from the Deluxe honey.
That was phenomenal. It's a great base, man. I tell you what, that honey's amazing. I went through it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I had to like tell my kids to leave it alone because they started just eating it directly off a spoon. I'm like, you guys got to understand, this is not something I can just go get at the store.
No, it's pretty special stuff. We had, when Kendrick was over at the Royale over in was that Memphis?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a couple years, 3 years back now is when they all went to the Royale. Andy was there, a police for food, and they gave some of my honey. I gave them a bunch of honey at that time. They gave some to Heath Riles, and Heath Riles placed with his ribs using my honey, which was pretty rad.
That's a good feeling.
It was pretty cool.
Heath Riles is a stud. Have you met him yet?
Yeah, we met him down in Florida when he was at the, I had met him before, I think, but we were at the Florida thing for the Whiskey Bent opening.
Yeah, that's right. You were there for that. That's where I met him too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
Good.
Super solid guy. I think I met him at another event before that, but he was there, and that's when I think we got a good chance to talk to him and stuff. So yeah, he was a cool cat.
Pretty still getting to meet him and Cosmo. They were both just super chill. Just wanted to hang out, get to know people, shoot the shit a little bit. Cosmo was super nice too. Yeah, that was also another really cool trip out there. Do you have any goals when it comes to the cooking and the Traegerhood?
I do want to get better with filming, with lighting, and learn from people who have done amazing at both, the filming, the editing, the lighting. So that's one whole aspect of doing what we do. Another aspect is I want to learn more and advance my culinary skills as well. I want to learn new spices, new foods, what goes together, different ways of preparing and cooking. I just got Dennis Prescott's new book, and I pre-ordered that right when it came out, and I got it like 2 or 3 days ago. But like I said, we just got back from vacation, and it was here. So, dude, have you looked at that thing?
I just got it. As you were talking about wanting to get better in the culinary side of things, I started thinking immediately of the Dennis Prescott book.
This dude is so worldly when it comes to cooking, and he started off as a freaking drummer for a band. So he's really grown. But this guy has traveled everywhere. He's had his own cooking show, and now he just put out this book. And I mean, I'm looking at every single picture on that book is like a home run. Every single picture is a freaking 10. And you look at these pictures and you're like, I can't make that. I look at the next one, I can't make that. But then you look at the recipe, I'm like, hey, I know all these ingredients. I can do this shit. Obviously, his plating skills are ridiculous, but the way he blends flavors and tells a story about why he's using this certain tomato that came from this because it pairs with that came from this region. I mean, he's a
phenomenal photographer. I got to shoot the shit with him, but I didn't get to know him at Traeger, right? There's so many people in only so little time. I believe he does all his videography, he does all his editing, he does all of his photography, he writes his recipes, he does everything top to bottom.
You pan through cookbooks and like every picture, like, oh yeah, oh that looks good. And you'll like flip through another, oh, that one looks good. Every single one, there's not one photo in there that is less than a 11. I mean, every single one is just unreal. Getting back to that, I really want to up my culinary game, and then I want to up my video editing and social game by that way. Everybody says, oh, I don't care about the numbers. I mean, the followers, and people that have a lot of followers say that. The people that don't have a lot of followers, they don't say that. There's a reason, obviously I'm not doing it for the followers, but when you put out content that is just amazing, then that's just, it'll naturally happen because you're doing that much better. And that's why, that's almost like, it's not how you see the growth, but when you look at, people that are putting out, like Tony, his videos now are just beautiful. I mean, and it shows and it reflects in all of his, stuff coming up behind him. And same with a lot of these guys. You can just see the progression in their editing, in their, the way that they shoot and everything like that. So that's what I'm going to work on.
There you go. You have some people that you're pulling inspiration from. Camp West, I can't think of anybody that would be better suited as a mentor when it comes to cinematography than Camp West.
He's awesome, man. He is such a good eye for editing too. I mean, if you look at like some of his raw footage, it's no different than anybody else's, but the way that he edits things is really pretty and it's great. So yeah, he has got an awesome eye for that. Yeah, and anybody, I'll get inspiration from somebody with, like 50 followers. I don't really care. Yeah, I just like seeing good food. I like seeing positive energy.
Where the growth comes from is you putting yourself outside of your comfort zone and finding things like you're doing right now. You're saying, I want my cinematography to level up. I want my dishes to level up. That's how you're going to get better. That's how you're going to improve your craft, is by surrounding yourself with people that are shooting in a way that you want to be able to shoot. Like you talked about up here in NorCal, a lot of us were fairly close by in physical proximity. So it's really cool to be able to see guys like Nick and watch Nick do his thing and watch how he sets everything up. And it's always great to absorb everyone's content. Being able to see it live and in person and seeing the nuances and the things that they find that are important to them, from the angles they shoot at, to getting the proper lighting, to getting the right frame rate, to using the right lens. There's so much that goes into this that I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize from the outside. You and I, we have similar goals. I want to do better. I want to be better. I want to develop like a very distinct style. And I'm investing in myself in order to make that happen. Arming myself with better equipment, better tools. I'm surrounding myself with people that are doing things better than I am. You don't want to be the smartest man in the room. The smartest man in the room can't learn nothing. You want to be the dumbest guy in the room. You want to be surrounded by people that are doing the things that you want to be doing, living a lifestyle that you would like to live. I really want to make sure that I'm studying and getting better. And I've dove in a lot. Behind the scenes, I've been doing so much work to try to get better and elevate. So I love that you want to just get better too.
If I get better, it's for the family. Like everything that I put out at the end of the day is going to be for the family. If I, get an extra sponsor, they benefit. If I get better at my culinary, they benefit because they get to taste better food, and if I get more efficient on my reels, then I get to spend more time with them. So it's all, everything that we do is going to be for the family.
You're an incredible family man. You got a beautiful family that not only looks up to you, but you do an incredible job of providing for them. So I got to meet your family, your beautiful wife, kids, your dog. Yeah, that was awesome, man.
That's right. We brought out Henry, that crazy dog. Crazy.
Oh, that is a cool dog, man. And your dog, he's incredibly talented as well. Your dog has a unique set of skills.
We've got a 2-year-old yellow lab, and he is called a DAD, which stands for a diabetic alert dog. He is able to smell the blood sugar levels in our son when his levels go up or go down. Our son is 11 years old, and he is a type 1 diabetic. So If you don't know too much type 1, look it up because it's a very special, frustrating disease that can never be cured. And it takes you versus you get it, if that makes sense. So he got set with type 1 about 3 years ago now. And actually, man, 4 years ago now. And so just the last 2 years, we looked into getting a dog. And we heard about this company that they'd make diabetic alert dogs. And I'm like, dude, that's BS. He's not going to do that. And we knew somebody who actually was in our area that had one of their dogs. And we went and visited. We're like, whoa, that blew my mind. And so it is 100% true. We went and looked into it. We ended up going and getting the dog. And this dog, so our son has 2 devices on his body at all times, basically keep him alive. One is a CGM reader, which reads your blood sugar levels. Normally, right now, all of our blood sugar levels right around between 90 to 110. And we stay within that range. If we have like 10 donuts, it might shoot up to like 150, but then it'll come right back down. Type 1 diabetes, basically picture like a scale. You got something on each scale that balances it out. As soon as you put a strawberry on this one and there's nothing over here, it just goes up and it keeps going up, and it drops. It can't regulate. There's no way to regulate it. So the other device he has on him is a pump. It's an insulin pump. And so that's what puts insulin into his body to help that scale come back to him. So so we can read his levels on the device. They're not always correct. And we still have to poke his finger to get a blood sample every couple times a day. The dog will tell us what his levels are about 20 minutes before the reader will pick it up. So if we look at his levels and his levels look fine, but the dog is over there and the dog's alert is he'll go up to the kid and he'll stare at him. If he doesn't do anything, then the dog starts smacking him like this, like, hey, there's a problem. You need to do something about this now until we do something. And then we look, and if the levels are fine, we're like, okay, there's about to be either a drop or a spike. We need to, and then the dog will tell us he's going to go high. He'll hit the right hand. If he's going to drop low, he'll hit the left hand. And then we reward the dog, and then we wait for the drop, and then we correct it either way. It's insane.
The fact that we can actually rely on something like that, it's why dogs are man's best friend. It's just meant to be.
We just got back. We went up to Canada, right? We went up to Canada, but we had to leave the dog here because going out of international is really tough for dogs, and especially alert dogs, whatever. So we left him here with my wife's father. He would text us probably twice a day. Hey, Henry's alerting me. What are Connor's levels? And we look and say, yeah, there's a problem. Can you reward him? We're in Canada, and he's alerting us here. That happened probably twice a day for the entire trip. And he was right almost every single time except for once.
If you enjoy these episodes of Big Unc and the Nephew, head on over to our YouTube page. It's Big Unc and the Nephew. And go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you like to listen on Spotify, on Apple Music, on Amazon Podcasts, wherever you like to listen, search up Big Unc and the Nephew and subscribe to us there. Really appreciate the support. Love y'all.